You are listening to the Scars and Guitars podcast series that syndicates for the A-List Online. My name's Andrew Mackay-Smith, and the interview subject I have coming up for you is Jesse Curnow of the Sydney outfit, the Phazes. The reason for the conversation is to promote the brand new EP from the outfit. It is called Manners. I'm really enjoying this one. This is a good chat too. So let's have a listen to what Jesse had to say. Here we go. Then it just sort of cut out.
Yeah, sorry about that. I'm not sure. How you going?
Good, mate. Good, mate. What's been happening apart from the release of this excellent new EP, Manners?
Not much at the moment. Actually, we're just sort of trying to put together some more songs and get back into the studio and try and put together another EP. I think and keep pushing forward.
Smart move. Yeah, smart move. This is a strong EP, by the way, and it's always good to have something up your sleeve to release fairly soon after, particularly when it comes to EPs. Which I think
Definitely.
These days, mate, are actually the most consumable form of long form, if you know what I'm saying. Because
Absolutely.
kids just aren't sitting through albums anymore.
Yeah, it's a bit disappointing, really. I mean, I still listen to albums all the time. Like, a new album comes out, I'll listen to it properly, like, start to finish. I really do think it's getting lost. People just get a new album on Spotify and they just press shuffle or, whatever. And it's not really supposed to be digested that way, is it?
No, particularly, I'm in my 40s, so I've grown up listening to albums, and I think up until the year, God, I don't know, take your pick, 1998, 1999, I think I owned only about 40 or 50 CDs. Good combination of, Megadeth, Primus, Faith No More, Weezer, some of the big bands from that era. And I got to know that material back to front, and it's become a part of my musical DNA as a consequence, but I think, especially when people are listening and they're listening for the purposes of maybe even becoming a musician, it doesn't give you the opportunity to focus. It's like your attention span's being pulled in all these bloody different directions all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't agree more. I mean, as I said, it's just the way you're supposed to do it. Like, that's some of my favourite pieces of music are, they're linked together, and that's how they were intended to be listened to, so.
Indeed, mate. Indeed, mate. So this album, this EP here, okay. You've probably got this one before, but I think it's a worthy comparison. Your sound on the EP here. Now, I heard a bit of Julia Casablancas and the Strokes, and of course Luke Steele and some Sleepy Jackson in there as well. But mate, in your own words, do you think that's an appropriate comparison, or if you've got another way of describing the EP to people who haven't heard you guys yet?
I guess. Yeah, like definitely the Strokes. I mean, we all love the Strokes, and especially Hayden, our singer. I don't know. I think we all really like the Vines as well. Like there's bits of
wow, the Vines.
It's like a little bit more like grittier, and I won't say dark because it's not really very dark, but I think there's sort of the faster ones like Manners or Control My Radar, where there's a little bit the mood is a little bit. Yeah, I guess just darker, like sort of like the Vines. We all really like them, and I mean, me and Liam, the guitarist, like we really love Nirvana and like bands like that. So, and
gotcha.
Liam's, our guitarist. He's a really big fan of like Waves and Fiddler, and sort of Californian bands like that. There's a band that we all really love, a current one at the moment called the Growlers as well. That we were really heavily influenced on, definitely on Defective, the song on the EP. I don't know if you've listened or heard of them, but you definitely should check them out.
Got to check them out. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Oh, look, I mentioned those two artists, but of course, your take on it with Nirvana can definitely hear that. You're talking about some of those British indie influences, I suppose. I can hear some British indie influence there as well. But, mate, it's just a very well-rounded collection of what I'm going to broadly call rock and roll cuts.
I appreciate that. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, we can. I mean, it is the nature of these things, particularly in journalism. We're supposed to reach for labels, okay? But at the end of the day, man, I can't give anything a higher compliment than just calling it good old-fashioned rock and roll, man. And when it comes to the Phazes, that's what I'm hearing.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Oh, I really appreciate that. I think, I mean, that's what we most definitely consider ourselves. We're just a rock and roll band. We like having fun and. Just getting up to no good, and I guess that's music is just sort of it's just something that we all really enjoy doing, and it's sort of like a bonus. We're just like hanging out with each other, and as I said, just sort of getting up to mischief and all sorts of stuff. And I think that's what rock and roll should be and should always be. It is like a way of life. So
yeah,
for lack of a better term.
Yeah, and look, many years ago, how long ago was it now? 23 or 24 years ago, I used to go to uni at UTS in St Leonard's, and I used to live in Sydney, and I know that scene of that graveyard is in St Leonard's on your album cover. Am I mistaken there?
Oh yeah, no, that's it. Yeah, that's
I knew it. I've walked past it and through it so many times. From one lecture theatre to another one. Yeah, man, that's a great photo, by the way. I love the juxtaposition of the building and the palm trees and the graves.
Yeah, I actually don't know. Hayden took that photo like so long ago, and he I don't know what he sort of. I remember he just sent it to us, and we all just like really liked it, and I think it somehow, without really intending to, really does. Obviously, we intended for it to capture the sound of the EP, but I think it really somehow, I can't really put into words, but it does sort of capture the sound and the imagery, I guess, of the music. Like, there's obviously there's the bright sort of, palm tree and really nice, beautiful day, the blue sky, but then there's obviously, there is just a bit of that gritty sort of, fuzz and, just the darker sort of mood to it as well.
Yeah. It's kind of very California, isn't it, too, where there's kind of like that decay about California, isn't there? Like you think of all this stuff that's happening with Harvey Weinstein and all of that, those idiots, those are fuckwits. And then you've got this beautiful sky and the palm trees as well.
Absolutely. Like, I mean, going to LA, I went there when I was a bit younger, and it's sort of like, it's so weird. Like, it's, it's all this wealth and all this, like, really beautiful stuff. And then you just sort of, like, walk, 150 meters, and there's just all these homeless people, and, it's really quite dirty and filthy, and it's just such a strange place. But, like, in a lot of ways, we're all obsessed with LA and California and bands and the music and sort of stuff that comes from there, obviously, as many people are.
It's like the thing about Los Angeles, it's really weird. I mean, it's been there a long time, 200 plus years, I assume. I assume it's about the same age as Sydney or thereabouts, maybe a bit younger. But it's kind of got no history visible. So you go there and the oldest shit is like from the 30s or the 40s, maybe from the 20s. But it's not like walking around Sydney where you can go to the Rocks, which legitimately is 200 years old and looks at and it's so obsessed with the new and the shiny and stuff. And you're exactly right about, it's very confronting when you go to South Central LA and as an Australian, because we just don't have a neighbourhood like that anywhere in Australia.
No, exactly. Yeah, it is very confronting. Liam actually went over there recently, and he met this girl traveling. Me and him were in Europe last year together, and he met this Brazilian girl traveling, and they actually met up and stayed in LA for a few days, like, probably about a month ago. Mm-hmm. And she booked this Airbnb, and he was like just on the outskirts of Compton, and he was just like, fuck, man, like this is like pretty red hot. Like I definitely, I wouldn't feel safe sort of walking around there. Like, he's just like, we just sort of like got Ubers everywhere and got the hell out of there. But it's pretty, it is definitely a confronting place. Yeah,
and look, it's so much of our culture and also the influence on our politics is coming out of Californian universities as well. And it's got such a, California itself, forget about the United States for a moment, but just California, it's had so much of an impact on popular culture globally. I mean, popular culture globally basically is Californian culture.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So weird.
And in many ways, unfortunately, it is.
Great, yeah.
Like a lot of, I mean, like it's just so influential. Like I can't, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I mean, I'm sure it doesn't make a lot of sense to a lot of people, but,
I know. I go to Bond Uni these days, and I'm on the Gold Coast here, and I speak to some of the American students, and they're not from the West Coast. They don't turn their nose down at it or anything like that, but you sort of definitely get the feeling that there's probably they may have an opinion that California and Los Angeles probably isn't as nice as where they're from. It's a bit more trashier, and it's not quite as not quite as imbued with the kind of culture that they know. You know what I'm saying? It's a very different part of America.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. It's fascinating as we've been talking about it for like 5 minutes. It is fascinating place.
Let's so the production on this album here, though. Again, I'm a fan of the production, I must say, and I know you've probably had to do things on a shoestring budget. So congratulations on making it sound as polished.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, thanks very much. We worked with Ian Burney, plays bass for Birds of Tokyo, and he did a great job. He's still pretty fresh with doing sort of production and recording and mixing and all of that sort of stuff. He's still like just he hasn't been doing it for very long, but I think he really got a good sound. Like we really worked hard on the drum sound, particularly. I think we spent probably at least a day sort of just getting not only the drum sound right, but also I guess just sort of how I was playing it. Like we really wanted that sort of machine-like sort of crispness, especially like the hi-hats and the snare. And I actually did something I'd never done before when we recorded the drums. I sort of did each track individually. Like it was something that we just thought we'd try and see if we could really sort of compress the tightness. Like you're almost just like, it's like a machine, in some ways, which I think was really cool. And it was really fun to do. Like just sit there for 3 minutes and just do the hi-hat track and then just do the snare track. Like, really cool.
Yeah, I get that block way of recording. Yeah, and how did what microphone were you using? Were you using the old trusty Shure SM57?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I can't remember what we used, but we were doing like he had a room mic, I think, sort of on the other side of the room, and I can't remember what that mic was, but he did that on the other side of the room, which I thought got a really cool sound, and then obviously had one on the top and one on the bottom of the snare, and it was it was really fun actually to record that. We recorded a really cool studio called Jungle Studio in Sydney, which was good fun.
I think I've heard of that. Is that upstairs somewhere? Someone was telling me it's upstairs somewhere.
I don't think it is. I think it's sort of like I think it's like a lot of the bands actually, like Sydney bands, like Birds rehearse there, and a couple of other bands like Polish Club, I think, rehearsed there. There's like it's a really interesting, like it's a really strange complex. Like it's sort of like a maze in a way. Like there's all these different rooms, and there's just equipment sort of everywhere, and it's sort of like grimy, and like it's a bit dirty, and then there's these really nice leather couches all over the place. It's a very weird place.
Sounds like Troy Horse. I used to be in Velveteen when I was in Sydney. And we used to rehearse at Troy Horse, and it sounds a lot like that with all these little alleyways and avenues going off in different places.
Yeah. It was cool. Cool. I'd never been there before, actually. I'd never been.
Is that still there? Is Troy Horse still there?
I'm not sure if it is. I haven't heard anyone mention it for a while, but
probably isn't.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah, it was years ago, man. I was in Sydney 15 years ago, so it's probably everything that I know, and even the venues that I played at probably are no longer. You know what I mean? So much has changed in bloody Sydney.
Don't even get me started on the venues and live music as a whole in Sydney. It's hard. It's a disgrace.
It's the hardest city to play music in by far. Hardest city to be in a band in. Hardest city to play music in, I reckon.
Oh, absolutely. In the world, even. I mean, that might be going a bit far, but like.
But I know your point. I know what you're saying, though. Having played there myself and been in a band down there, I get it.
Yeah. Oh, it's just like, I don't know. Nobody goes out. Nobody wants to see sands, and we actually had to play. We booked this gig at Brighton Up Bar. I don't know if you know what that.
I've never heard of it. Yeah.
But it's on Oxford Street in Sydney.
Okay.
And like we booked this gig there, and they were asking us to pay $300 to hire the venue out for the night, and then they would waive that fee if the bar made $2,000 or something like that. And we just went, like, this is a fucking disgrace. Like, not only are we not getting paid, but we have to pay you. Like, it's a nightmare.
Oh yeah, I don't know what it is about Sydney. Sorry, I'm not ratting on the place. It's just it's an odd people don't understand from outside of Australia. They just think it's the big glitzy. It's not the capital of Australia, but they think it is because people have never heard of Canberra before. But yeah, it's where all the tourists go, and generally first arrivals in Australia, people who are moving here, they move to Sydney or Melbourne, one of the two, but mainly Sydney, I think. And it's such a weird place, man. It's 5.5 million people in it. It's so hard to get around in. And it's segmented into, like, you know, from the North Shore, you never visit the western suburbs and all this sort of shit. It's such a funny place. It's the only city. Maybe Melbourne's becoming more like that, but I think it's because of all of these different social factors that people, you know, you got the lockout laws as well because of what that dickhead did years ago when he punched that poor Thomas Kelly in the back of the head.
Yeah.
And you got all of these reactions around that, and you think, well, notwithstanding the family's grief, and that family has suffered terribly, it must say, because their other son committed suicide, you know. But it's the whole of Sydney. You can't get a bottle of wine from a bottle shop after 10 p.m. Is that right, on weekends?
Yeah, it's something ridiculous like that. You can't buy a beer. Yeah, you can't buy like alcohol past like 11 o'clock or 10 o'clock in some places. It's just like, it's just a joke. And you can't obviously go to, if you're somewhere at a bar at 1:35 and you want to go to another one, you can't. Like, it's just a joke.
Yeah. You guys should think about, I mean, I know you got obviously other commitments outside of the band, but have you thought about relocating somewhere else, like up here or down in Melbourne?
Yeah, I've always wanted to move to Melbourne and play music there. Like, definitely. Like,
it's easier.
I probably still will, whether it's with these guys or not. I don't know. Like, I'm sure. Like, we'll keep going for, you know, however much longer, and like, we all love doing what we're doing. But I think not even just from a musical perspective. Like, I want to move somewhere else. Like, I've thought about going to London as well, and I'd definitely love to move and relocate. I'd love it if the band could come, but I mean, you know, that's obviously easier than done.
It's easier up here, man. Let me tell you, there's heaps of venues up here. I mean, I'm not saying there's so many that they need any in every band, but mate, if you're in an originals band, it's probably one of the easiest cities to get a gig. I think, as long as you got your shit together, and you guys do. Yeah, you guys could. I've hooked up some bands from Perth and stuff that are on Firestarter. Or distroed by Firestarter with some agents up here and stuff, because I'm a musician too, right? So I play regularly.
Yeah.
And
okay.
Yeah, it's more receptive to live music here. And in saying that, we do have venues that close down, but you can, any night of the week you go out in Brisbane or the Gold Coast or even the Sunshine Coast, you can generally see live music.
That's the way it should be. I mean, that's what I loved about going traveling, like finding just live music every night of the week, and, you know, whenever. And you can't do that here. Like, it's so rare to find like good original bands. Not rare, but I mean, it can be difficult. That's for sure. But it's
What else do you do, mate? What do you do to earn a living, so to speak?
I am working for Australia Post actually at the moment.
Well, you could transfer with that role, yeah.
Yeah, so just sort of like doing like delivery driving, like I drive like a van and do the, you know, and, you know, get the signature for the parcel and stuff like that. It's really good. I really enjoy it, actually. Oh,
mate, look, as someone who's been a career telecommunications, I was an account executive for most of my time at Telstra, and I left last year. Sorry, 2017 I left, actually, and I was burnt out, man, in corporate life, and, you know, that's not even that corporate, to be honest with you, but it's fairly corporate, you know, but it almost killed me, man. I was in and out of hospital with something called colitis, which is like Crohn's disease.
Jeez.
You know, so it's just not worth it, man. The stress isn't worth it.
No way. And I mean, I do like solo acoustic gigs and stuff like that as well.
Oh,
and
good on you.
That's always fun. Yeah. So like, I try and just play as much music as possible. Like, it would be great to earn a living that way at some point. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, playing in a band's not cheap, that's for sure. There's a lot of money going towards all sorts of different stuff. So.
Oh, it sucks, doesn't it? Oh, it's ridiculous. I mean, I'm looking at my wall of equipment behind me, my wall of SKB cases behind me that separate me from my daughter's drum kit. And, mate, there's probably, $30,000 worth of retail, a kit here, you know, like that I bought. Like, it'd be worth nothing now in terms of if I tried to sell it, you get a tenth of the value. You know how it is.
Yeah.
But
absolutely.
It's
expensive.
Yeah, it's you spend as much on all of your musical equipment that you've probably got in your possession as you would almost on to about half of what a mortgage deposit on a mortgage might be. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, it's insane. Yeah. It's just such a grueling profession and hobby, and it's just What's that Hunter S. Thompson quote where he's like, he says the music industry is like, walking through the desert and you have no water and everyone hates you and you fall into cactuses and it's just the worst thing ever. And there's also a bad side as well.
Yes, I think I know the one you're talking about. Yeah, then there's the bad side. Yeah.
That's the good part of it.
Yeah. Oh, and he probably said that in the 70s, I suppose. At least.
Yeah, exactly. And it's only in a lot of ways gotten worse.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. It's a funny thing because it's a passion project for 99.9% of musicians, isn't it? Playing music, and the thing is, the difference is between you and most is you've actually got a really good collection of songs here that with the Phazes and to show to people and say, look, this is what I do, man. How about this? And a lot of people don't have it. They don't have that, and they're sort of wondering, well, why can't I get a break? Well, fuck, it's not that hard. Just get together with some people and start writing some songs. And here's the tip: if you play drums, learn how to play guitar, and if you play bass, learn how to play drums and guitar. These are all the things that people have got to do.
Absolutely. I think that's the thing is like you just got to work your ass off and love what you're doing. And if you do love it, and there's no real reason why you can't sort of get out there and just do what we're doing and write music and just sort of have a good time with it and just like do what you want to do with it. Like it's I feel like it's a need for a lot of people, and that's definitely I think what we all need to do it in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I'm the same, man. I've said that to my wife plenty of times, man. It's probably outside of making sure I can be the best dad I can be for my kids, man. It's playing music is potentially the only other thing that I have a psychological need to do. The next day after a gig, even though I'm playing in covers and we're playing very long gigs where we're out sort of 8 to 12 hours, the next day when I wake up, Jesus, I feel fulfilled. I feel that sense of accomplishment.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, there's nothing better. There's absolutely nothing better. Like it's such a good what's the word I'm looking for? It's therapeutic in so many ways, It's just like, as you said, like it's just you feel like you've accomplished something, and it's great. Definitely,
mate. We'll wrap things up. So tell me, people listening to the podcast series, mate, they want to get in touch with you guys, and how do they do that? Where can they, especially if they want to purchase physical copy of the album or the EP? Sorry.
So we're obviously on Spotify, iTunes. Bandcamp. You can purchase it on Bandcamp. We have CDs at all our shows, and we were hoping to get some vinyls done, but I'm not sure how that's going. I think it's
hard. Yeah, it's hard these days, man.
But like definitely, you can buy stuff online on our link tree if you go to our Facebook or Instagram. There's we got shirts there and physical copies of CDs and stuff. Definitely. You get into it.
Definitely got your shit together. I love seeing that in an indie band. To your point, you got merch there. You're very easy to find. You're not a hard band to find. You got Bandcamp. Thank God you got Bandcamp. The kids love that.
Bandcamp's crucial.
It's all there. You'd be surprised, mate, how many bands don't bother with it though. Which I do not understand. They obviously don't know. They obviously don't. Nobody's explained it to them yet. But the Bandcamp thing.
I guess not. I guess not. I think, it's essential. Just whatever you can put it on, fucking put it on there.
Indeed. Yeah, indeed. You have been listening to the Scars and Guitars podcast series that syndicates for the A-List Online. My name is Andrew Mackay-Smith, and the interview subject you just heard from was Jesse Curnow from the outfit The Phazes. Thank you so much for listening.